easily could have been a 14-10 Lobo lead at halftime. Obviously wasn't, but we have first and goal at the 2-yard line, and we go backwards a couple yards. We have an opportunity, and both of those were set up. I thought our special teams played outstanding. Set up a long return after we gave up the field goal. They get the long return down to the 30-yard line, and we have to come away with the field goal. I mean, we've got to punch those in. I thought Christian Wash did a great job, but the 10 guys did a great job blocking for him. And then we had the punt safe out there on the long one for the defense where Luke Weissong returned the punt. And then Justin made a nice on a 2nd and 16, read a really nice option play, which he missed a few reads on Saturday night, but to get down to the 3-yard line right before he stepped out of bounds, diving for the end zone. And then we went backwards and had to kick another Drzwicki field goal. Those moments for our football team are pretty dramatic. We're a very young football team. We're a fragile football team in those instances. And that kind of, when they got the first possession of the second half, we get a first down on the first try. We get on the first play. We go a couple more plays and punt, and then we give up a 75-yard touchdown on an assignment there. The fragileness of our football team, knowing that our margin of error is so small because of our shortcomings on offense, I thought it did a major toll to our team. And I called them mentally weak on the radio yesterday because that's what that is. I think we got a bunch of tough kids that really fight their tails off. And we're young. The hardest part on offense right now, we're missing 3 starting offensive linemen. We're missing our best receiver, which showed that he had some explosiveness against UNLV. His heel, hopefully, they're getting into some needling and different things now. Hopefully he'll be ready to go full speed. We were hoping he'd be full speed. He played 8 plays on Saturday, Jordan Porter. Obviously he wasn't able to be himself. So that, with the small margin for error and that decimation of the injuries, now hopefully we'll get our starting center back, CJ and Issei, our right guard. Hopefully they'll be back from Utah State. We'll have a better idea. They won't practice this week. We'll have a better idea on Tuesday. But with those 3 missing pieces, it changes what we were doing early on in the season dramatically, because we're not developed enough behind them to be able to step in and see no drop off. And those guys are fighting their tails off, but they're obviously not as good because they're not the starters. So that's been a big challenge. Now Justin will be our starting quarterback for the next 4 games. Those next 4 games should be very competitive. We've got to find a way. Now hopefully we'll get healthy with some guys returning. I expect Ray Lotele to be back. We expect Dante Martin to be back. We expect hopefully 2 of the 3 old linemen to be back, which will be a significant help to our football team. This week will be really good because we'll have a chance to get Deion Hunter, Cody Moon, Rico Hanna healed up a little bit because those guys are getting beat up from the reps they're taking. AJ Halsey is a little beat up, but he's playing his tail off. Those on the defensive side of the ball, we lost 2 of our best players to ACLs, Alec Marenko and Tavian Combs. So it's hampered our ability, our competitiveness a little bit. But that's a 13-6 ball game that if we continue to fight, now we obviously have to fix offensively what's going on. The first half, we only played 22 plays on offense, but they were efficient. Where we struggled on defense in this first half was 3rd down, which we had been really, really good on all year. And you can do a combination. You give them a little bit of credit. They did some good things. We blocked ourselves at times on stuff that we hadn't done, and that's experience. Those are live bullets. We had our first 2 3rd and 7+ conversions on the season against us on defense, which led to 1 touchdown and 1 led to a field goal. Those are things that we've been doing, and part of that's injury, part of that's we started 4 true freshmen in the secondary on defense. So those live bullets are irreplaceable. Those guys are going to get better and better, and 4 of those 5 might start again in 2 weeks. We'll see. Dante should be back, so that'll help tremendously. But Zach Morris, who had an opportunity to pick 6 and it bounced off his hands, Dramarius Lewis had an opportunity at an interception in the first half that might have scored on also. AJ Halsey's the one who got the interception, and the guys were doing a great job blocking in front of him. Those all 3 are true freshmen that are going to be really, really good players. And they're getting live bullets, but they're not built yet to compete at a high level for 60 minutes. Obviously, we saw that. The early on, UNLV Wyoming talking about learning how to win, overcoming a couple of those games significantly helps the psyche of your football team, the fragile psyche of our football team that I was talking about at the beginning of this. So I know there's a lot of doom and gloom, and that's okay because that means people care. But we're obviously offensively we're not, but we're on pace to continue what we do. We're a competitive football team. The second half went different than what it is because of the decimated by injury and our offensive struggles. But this is about where I thought we'd be, and now I thought we could have a chance to win Wyoming, UNLV, New Mexico State, obviously, and those outcomes didn't go our way. The best part of our football team, the next 4 weeks, our football team believes that they can win all 4 of those games. And if you look at the Mountain West Conference, it's a very competitive league from top to bottom. Anybody, if you watch the scores week to week, those games are close throughout. And so the biggest challenge is belief. And I believe in our kids, and they believe in themselves, which is the best thing that we've got going around here. So I'll open it up for whoever wants, who has questions. Go ahead, Brandon.
What should you take away after looking at the film, in particular, Justin's first start? And what's his biggest challenges moving forward to try to help the offense improve?
Live bullets, continuing to get those. The second down play down here on the goal line, they did a nice job. They charged the corner. He should have handed that ball. If he hands that ball, it's going to be Jaden Holby behind 2 linemen with a chance to walk in. That comes with experience. That comes with live bullets. He had a couple of speed options where we've got the running back and nobody, and he ducked it up inside, and one of them he got 9 yards, where if he pitches it to Nate on one and Christian on the other, they're going to be 40, 50-yard plays. Those are live bullets again. I mean, it's all about getting experience. And some of the experience he got in the Wyoming, the Wyoming game, probably should have gotten a little bit more, but ultimately for the future of our program, right now he's the best one performing the best in practice, and I think Justin's going to be a special player, but he needs those full speed reps. And he'll get better this week, and he'll be better when we play Utah State in 2 weeks. We did some live stuff out there today. We did some good on good, first offense versus first defense, which is, he needs as much of that as he can get. And then getting hit. Now, we don't hit him in practice, but especially on the option stuff. I mean, we ran 8 triple option plays on Saturday. 7 of the 8 were for 8 yards or more. So obviously we probably need to do that a little bit more, but then the one that we didn't on the second down here after the first kickoff return, he pitched it and we got tackled for -6 because he read it wrong. So it's catch-22. You got to take opportunities to make those plays, and that's where we're at on offense. So there's no worries about taking chances. It's the only chance we have right now until we continue to get better and get some of our better guys back.
Another catch-22 is quarterbacks get tons of credit when you win and tons of blame when you lose. How is he handling the responsibilities that are coming as being a starter now?
I think he's probably the most mentally tough in that room. Every response is yes, coach. Yes, sir, coach. I mean, when he got hurt on the when he should have knocked the ball on the ground, he said he didn't knock it down because he couldn't tell how far the lineman was from him, and he didn't want to take a chance of intercepting it. And he knew if he caught it, it was going to still be our ball, and he landed on his shoulder. And he asked me to take a timeout on the 3rd down for when we took him to the sideline. So we took the timeout right after he got hurt. And sometimes, I mean, this goes into our whole philosophy of get off the field. If he lays there on the field and he stays down, they're going to stop the game and let him come out. And we don't have to waste the timeout. In a different time of the game's close at that point, I'm going to tell Justin, stop right there, let them call timeout. He refused. He wanted to get off on the sideline so that they could pop his shoulder back in because it's subluxed. If they take him in the tent and he's in there arguing with them, I'm fine, just pop it. And he got his shoulder back in, which he was fine. He's been fine all week. I mean, he just in and out and got it back in. And he wanted to go back out there play. Now, Miles goes in, throws a completion to Luke, and he was disappointed he missed one play. So he's not worried about the blame. He knows, I mean, he did his best, and he knows he'll get better every week. And I mean, that's players win games. They lose them more than they get. Different scenarios happen to them. We got plenty of good enough players. So we are.
Danny, in making the change at quarterback, how important was it just that Miles is a senior and Justin's a sophomore?
That was weighed heavily into the factor. I mean, If we are 5-2 instead of 2-5, that decision probably is different, because then that obviously means Miles will be playing better. Justin is obviously the future of our program. CJ's in that mix. I think Justin has been performing better practice at the moment. So giving those live bullets and giving him every opportunity he can, because obviously Miles won't be here next year, and Miles, that takes a big person to understand where he's at and what he is, and he's been a great teammate. Plus his tail, he was ready to go in when Justin came out, and I mean that's who Miles Kendrick is as a man and as a team guy.
So you mentioned, the red zone struggles and the team's getting multiple opportunities per game, it seems like. After, breaking down the film, have you noticed any differences when, you guys get back on the field?
Well, obviously the execution on a couple of those replays was what significantly hurt those drives. We only had 22 plays in the first half, partly because of the long drives that Fresno had of 14, 13, 10. But they were drives that moved the ball down into opportunities to score. The second half, obviously, once we got behind, we're not built to be a throwback team. I thought he did some of the things. He didn't throw the ball great in the fourth quarter. He hit a couple balls. Obviously, we did some stuff on the meeting board to show, when Justin's getting hit, why? Sometimes it's the offensive line gets beat in one-on-one pass rush. Sometimes it's the receivers aren't getting open. Giving them different route combinations, which we had a couple really good stuff in the second half that Justin either missed a throw, or we had Elijah Queen that showed up the last 3 weeks. Being able to find ways to get him the ball and doing those things. I thought he did the game plan wise was good stuff. We just got to execute it better. Executing it, and people can say this is an excuse. They can, however you want. I'm okay with that. Them getting frustrated with me because of it. We have 3 offensive linemen in there. That was their first game. We moved a tight end back to play center. Ratz and Jane played great. The other 3 are still wet behind the ears and going against guys that have been doing this for 3 years. So they fought their tails off, but obviously we get outmanned sometimes. We get executed sometimes. When we were early on in the first Boise, UTEP, Fresno, UTEP, we were completely healthy up front. Now we lost DJ Wingfield against me. Tavian Porter stepped in and done a really nice job. We were healthy against UNLV and Wyoming up front. We haven't been the same, obviously. That's played a factor into some of those red zone struggles and offensive struggles. But we've still been able to move the ball. We just get ourselves behind the chains and end up having a punt, or we have to kick field goals. We've got to dramatically fix that to give us a chance to stay in games and remain competitive.
So just with it being a bye week, you're not going to be doing as much game prep for Utah State as a normal week. You said, this would be a lot of self-reflection, just working on certain aspects. Is there any specific aspects that you feel like the offense needs to work on? You want me to be a smart aleck, or you want me to obviously scoring points? No, it's fundamentals. Getting better across the board for our football team fundamentally. Blocking, especially on the perimeter, assignments, walkthroughs, doing all those things so that you give yourself the best chance to be successful. And then obviously we did some stuff today, 1-on-1 wise, 7-on-7 wise, to throw and catch the ball, stuff that we're not focusing on Utah State this week schematically. As players for our team, it's all good on good, because the speed of the game with us being so young is just as important as what we're doing against who we're doing it. And we'll have plenty of time. We'll get an extra practice on Sunday. We'll get Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday to prepare for Utah State. So right now it's a matter of, and then the end of practice today, our young guys that don't play in the games or have very minimal action in games went live scrimmage for almost half an hour. And we saw a couple of really good things. Hopefully we got opportunities at guys that the redshirting is out of the window now for some of them. They got 4 games left, the guys that haven't played, and there's some guys that we can throw in. Go ahead, Jeff.
Yeah, Kenny, on that, now that it's the 4-game window, how much do you see being able to find guys, maybe give guys a chance? You're trying to win games, but are there guys that maybe you can throw in and give you a chance to do some things when you don't lose a red shirt?
Reality of it, not really. The guys that have been, the guys that even young that give us a chance. We played 18 true freshmen this year. That's unheard of. Those guys that give us a chance, we haven't concentrated on trying to redshirt guys, because that philosophy has changed a little bit. We've got a bunch of guys that have played 2 and 3 games. If there's any that have played, like Jamar Sanders has played in a couple games. He does some explosive things. but he still is a true freshman that's not real strong in some of those things, so, there's a couple guys that will have opportunities this week. I thought Deuce Jones, played his tail off on Saturday, did some good things, when caught the one ball, made a guy miss, did a great job on perimeter blocking. If you can get Deuce and Jordan opposite sides of each other, and then you can intermix Luke, you'll have some dynamics that we have not had for the last 4 weeks. I mean, against UNLV, we were really dynamic. We did not make good adjustments when they blitzed us. We need to get back to being healthy so that we can do those things. I mean, it shouldn't look like it did in the first quarter of that game, and then 3 quarters, or as we've gone 11 quarters now without a touchdown. It shouldn't look that way. Part of that is who the Jimmys and Joes are, and getting those guys healthy. Go ahead, Henry.
Coach, your positive attitude is much appreciated. I mean, very much so. Objectively, and using your words, wet behind the ears, when it really comes down to it this late in the year, are many of your opponents, do they have better athletes on the field than you? And then there's where the word recruiting comes in. Can you fill the holes that are necessary that makes you a lesser competitive team?
The great question about athletes, I think our league's very competitive across the board. Now, other teams are stronger than us because of what they've been able to do over a longevity of time. The recruiting element that you talk about is, you want to be a good coach, you get good players. And we've got some really, really good young players that are getting live bullets. And you see it right in front of you. The thing that's changed is, so 2020, when I took this job, you lay out a 5-year plan. And you're gonna go freshman by freshman, class by class, and you can build those and develop those guys. And right at the end of COVID, 2021, the rules changed significantly. So the 5-year layout for your classes, you don't know how that class is gonna look at the end of every year. There's positives and negatives to that. The positives, I mean, these are 1-year scholarships that there's gonna be kids in our program that might wanna leave. There's gonna be kids in our program that might get recruited off our campus, and there's gonna be kids in our program that we tell, you need to find somewhere else. So it'll go both ways. I mean, you're gonna see that happen. So it changes how you lay out. I mean, when you take a 5-year program, you've got, okay, here's our true freshman class, here's everybody, here's the sophomore class, the junior class, the senior class. And then you have it for the next year, you bump those guys up, and they're sophomores, juniors, seniors, and you bump up their junior, seniors, so you have a 5-year play out of what scholarships you're going to replace. Well, those replacements are gone now because of, 1, the transfer portal, 2, one-time eligibility. If the one-time eligibility, that's the biggest kick to this new system. If you didn't have the transfer to be eligible, and it is not one time. If you didn't have the transfer to be eligible immediately, the NIL would not be that big of a deal. Transfer portal wouldn't be that big of a deal because you wouldn't have as many kids in it. So now that they can move one at a time, the challenge is anybody can go anywhere. Grass is greener. There's a lot of kids that get bad advice. There's a lot of kids that get good advice. The way to, and this is completely my opinion, for the University of New Mexico to have a chance to keep our best players, people ask me all the time, what can we do? What can we do? How can we help? NIL's gonna help. I mean, that's gonna be a minute help around here. If I'm a young man and I'm watching TV on Saturday in the hotel, and I'm watching college football around the country, and I see, perfect example Saturday was Oregon and UCLA. And Autzen Stadium has 70,000 people in it. And I've got a chance to go play in front of 70,000 people, why wouldn't I? And then I come out here and I see 18, 15, 16, 12,000. It's a different environment. So do we want to be special? How do you help? Fill up the stadium. Give them an environment that entices them to stay. Does winning help that? 100%. 100%. I said it before, people want to spend their hard-earned money on expectations to win. And they don't expect us to win yet. They shouldn't. We haven't given them reason to. But we've also made it very affordable to come out for the 7 Saturdays in the fall. And New Mexico Bowl is very affordable, just to say. To make it very affordable, there's no reason the stadium shouldn't be full. This is, once again, my opinion. It's not me. I mean, and people can say, we'll win games and we'll fill it up. I agree. I'm from Albuquerque. And I want this place to be special, not solely because I'm from Albuquerque, because I love the university and I love the school. That makes a significant difference when people ask, how can they help? That's how they can help. And that aspect of the recruiting will be significant, because if our kids see that, it makes a big difference. They're gonna fill this place back up. When we win, they're gonna fill this place back up, and it'll help. And we'll still lose guys. And the ones that we replace them with is the most important fashion behind that. That's just the new rules to the new game. That's okay. What else? What, Sam?
Coach, you've talked throughout the year about needing to take X amount of deep shots a game, 10, 12, whatever the number is. With where the offense is at right now, do you still think that that's realistic? Do you still think that's what is going to allow you guys to be successful?
Well, obviously you have to convert on some of them. You can't just throw them deep, which we've done a few times. Having success running the ball helps open some of those things up. If you watch the first series on Saturday, we did a nice job. We run a power play to the right. We get positive yards. We come back with an option play to the left where Justin does a great job, ducks up inside, gets 15. We run play action to Luke, that if Justin throws it 2 steps sooner, Luke's gonna catch it on the run instead of having to going down. Getting people with the smoke and mirrors and all those things, getting them offset, going direct sideways, flashing things before their eyes, getting downhill, being vertical, and then opening those things up gives you the chance to throw the ball deep. If we're gonna get in a situation where it's 3rd and long, and we're gonna throw it deep, they're gonna put 8 in coverage, and it's not gonna give us any ability to be successful there. Setting those things up with the play action, which we've done really good early on in games, as long as we've been able to stay in the forefront or stay close in the conversation. I mean, Wyoming and UNLV, and I keep going back to those because those were 1 possession games with 7 minutes to go in the game, and we had the ball 2 or 3 times. We were taking deep shots in those games, converted a few of them. In UNLV, Jordan Porter had a deep shot in the 3rd quarter. When we're going down there to tie it 17-17, we missed the field goal. Those are the deep shots they're talking about that are successful. So as we continue to run the ball, positive yards, being able to do some of the option stuff, then the deep shots become more and more feasible, more and more, I mean, that there are opportunities right there to convert them. But when you're behind the chains or you're behind the score, now you're just throwing it up to throw it up, and it's not, it might not even be a 50-50. So we're gonna continue down that path.
Outside of execution, is there anything else on 1st and 2nd down that you can do to help get there?
Well, absolutely. I mean, the majority of it is the live bullets, especially this last weekend for Justin. We were successful. 1st down wasn't the problem. Most of the time it was 2nd down, and it was stuff that we had set up and executing. If you're doing things that they can't do, then that's all coaching. Stuff that's new for the live speed of it for Justin. I mean, on the option stuff, obviously he was successful at it because we had successful plays 7 of the 8. The ones that weren't, they hurt, and so that'll continue to get better with that. And I don't think it's stuff that we can't physically do, so we have to get better at what we're doing, and he'll continue to get better. He's the biggest piece right now once we get the offensive lineman back.
Talking about Justin with the option, he's saying that he's never ran before this year.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, just with him obviously having a learning curve, knowing when to make the reads, when to pull, when to not, and then just on top of just the injury risk, how comfortable are we with him running?
Very. And I'm gonna go back to the history of this. I mean, running the RPO spread option. I mean, watch Jalen Hurts with Philadelphia Eagles. Watch Josh Allen. Those guys don't get hurt running the football on zone reads, we haven't gotten quarterbacks hurt running on the triple option stuff. It's when you can't protect them and they're getting hit from behind on the drop back passes when they're unprotected that we've got players hurt. It's how we got Terry Wilson hurt. So every single play, every single football play that's a live football play, there's concern for injury for all 22 people on that field. It doesn't make it any more significant when the quarterback is running the ball as an offensive player. When he's actually running the ball down the field to gain positive yards, there's less chance of him getting hurt because he's protecting himself. It's when you don't know it's coming that you're a sitting duck is when it's most likely that you're going to get hurt. And that's why they've eliminated blindside blocks in football. And the best thing about our punt return that Luke had in the second quarter, Cody Moon, who is a very, very aggressive young man. I mean, you saw the hits he had earlier in the season, did a great job. He had a guy lined up that he could have knocked out for, 5 years ago would have been an unbelievable highlight tape all over ESPN. He high screened him. Deion Hunter, who has that same nature, high screened him. And then Jarek Reed did another great job. 3 of those guys enabled Luke for the 65-yard return because they did exactly what the game has changed. And those guys could have significantly hurt those kids 5 years ago. And so some of those rules, obviously, I complain all the time, it makes the game soft. It's for the better for the longevity, but when you're unprotected is when you have the most viable chance of getting hurt, that they're eliminating from that. So I don't think Justin did it. If you watch the 2nd and 16, when he made the free safety miss, Justin's got that ability to do some of those things, which is exciting.
Coach,
Go ahead, Henry.
one last thing. From the category of ifs and buts and candies and nuts, going back a few years, when Zach Gentry was coming out of El Dorado, if he would have committed to you and the Lobos, would you have moved him to tight end?
Yes. Zach Gentry's an NFL tight end. I offered Zach Gentry out of high school when I was at San Diego State as a freshman when I saw him run the 300-meter hurdles. Zach Gentry was very dynamic as a quarterback in high school football here in New Mexico. I don't know if you've seen Zach Gentry lately, but he looks like a pretty prototypical NFL tight end. And he comes down here and he works out. I talked to Zach quite a bit because, he's obviously a Michigan alum and deservedly so, deserved to go to Michigan. Coach Harbaugh and them were smart because they moved him to tight end and they put him in the NFL. But he's a Lobo fan, which is really cool for an out-country kid to still have some compassion for a school he didn't attend. But he cheers us on just as much as he cheers on Michigan, which is really cool. But those guys in Michigan were pretty dang smart, and the guys in Pittsburgh were pretty dang smart because Zach's one heck of an athlete. He's gigantic, he's physical. Now he had to learn how to be a tight end, and that took him a couple years. And now he's got a pretty healthy career.
What kind of Division I quarterback could he have been?
Obviously not good enough to play Michigan because they were smart moving to tight end and made him a whole bunch of money. But I don't know that question. Zach's if he would have been nothing but a quarterback, probably could have been okay. Probably could have been pretty good, but he's playing in the NFL, so what they did was right. What else?
Coach, you mentioned on the radio yesterday about the fact that you have some funding now in place to bring some more analysts on board. So I guess the question is, how important are those analyst positions, and do you have a specific number in place as to how many analysts you want to hire come next year?
I think so. And we've got some young men in our staff, some volunteer guys, and our recruiting department, and Jalen Harvey and our player development department do a lot of the stuff that we would have analysts do. They're not as experienced. The pre-scout, when you come in on Sunday and you have a complete breakdown, other than just film being broke down, of guys of coaches that have coached at this level, and all they do is watch film all week long of your future opponent, and they can give you stuff that you don't have to spend all Sunday watching, and then you can dive right into the game plan stuff. That's a pretty significant help. Having some experience for guys that have been through the battles and being able to talk through things on Saturdays, that stuff's been really, really good. Those opportunities, and we've got a layout because obviously in our league, we were really behind on where the program was resourced, certain positions. And you have to give Eddie and David, and from the top, President Stokes, a lot of credit for seeing the value in wanting to be competitive, It's not this deal where you can just wave a magic wand unless one of the billionaires that's in New Mexico wants to come and just drop that kind of money on us, which I'm all for. But over fiscal budgets and being able to increase positions, we hired a director of recruiting and player development this year, which we have not had. So we were able to fund that into our budget for those two positions. We'll have a couple analysts coming on. We added a strength coach, which was a significant, for not just football, for our entire athletic department. We did not have an administrative assistant up here, which they added that position into the budget. So I mean, all the coaches were doing all their recruiting stuff, organization stuff. I mean, answering the phone. I mean, it was me answering the phone. Those things have been so prominent for our development of our program, behind the scenes, the stuff we talk about, recruiting, identifying players. Those things are vital in this day and age. And our President Stokes has made a huge commitment because Eddie and David have been able to show her, and her being a part of the meeting, she's very, she's really, really sharp. Was at some big time schools, at Florida State, at Missouri, where football program is very important, and she sees it. And that's gonna give us an opportunity to continue to grow this program. The football program to this athletic department is so vital because, one, the Mountain West Conference is a great league. It's a really, really good football league. Okay? One, this year it's very competitive. Last year we had 4 10-win teams. We'll have 1 or 2 10-win teams this year. The funding of all sports because of the CFP. Not if we decided, you know what, New Mexico's going to be a Division II school, New Mexico's going to drop down to FCS, we should drop, for all those people, we should drop football. Well, there's a lot of people that absolutely love local basketball around here, love women's basketball and softball, all those things. If football isn't the driving force, then all those sports suffer. And so that's why it's important for us to continue to build this to be a competitive team. Now, we fill the stadium up, we have more resources for everything, there's no doubt. But the way the CFP is going, it's gonna give you more opportunity and more resources. But if the right people in the right positions don't see that value, talking about President Stokes and Eddie and David, then you're fighting an uphill battle. We're not fighting that uphill battle. Now, we need to continue to find more resources. And I'll never stop asking for resources. Like I said, if there's a billionaire that wants to come on in and fund this program, like be the owner, come on in.
Yeah.
Because it's a time where you can do that. And we'll continue to get better both the funding, and then you'll see that on the field.
And just to be clear, everything you talked about, other than the 2 analysts, are in this fiscal year, or?
Correct. The two, we have not hired any analysts on, now we had opportunity to hire one on, was not the right timing as what we got it done, so there's one in there that we'll be able to have, we'll be able to have two analysts come July. And then the funding that she's continuing to give us opportunities to continue to be competitive and successful in our league. What else? Those are great questions, by the way. That's it?
I just have one more. We
Sure.
talked about special teams after the game, kicking game, and even the return game. Evaluating that further in film, how big of a step forward was special teams?
Of the 8 games we played this year, I think 7 of them have been outstanding on our special teams performance. We've got a bunch of kids that they realize the importance, that it's not just an afterthought. They don't just do it because they have to. It's 1/3 of the game. And we got guys, obviously some explosive ones. I mean, Luke showed some very explosive plays on punt return. Jamarius Lewis has. Christian Washington has had 2 big time returns. Our starting average field position, the greatest tell about special teams is hitting yardage. You can find up to 200 and 300 yards every game in hitting yardage, meaning you punt a ball and the ball hits the ground and it rolls. If it rolls for 13 yards or it rolls for 32 yards, there's 32 hidden yards where you could have changed field position in the game dramatically. Field returns, I mean, you're guaranteed, in the way the rules are now, you can start every single kickoff at the 25-yard line if you want to. No matter where they catch it, they can fair catch balls on the 25. Everything beyond the 25 are hitting yards that you wouldn't normally account for. So we got all the way down to the 30-yard line on that first kickoff return. There's some significant advantages when you are able to execute the special team stuff. And I think our special teams, give New Mexico State credit, they whooped our tail in that aspect of it. the other 7 games, we've had the upper hand. We had the upper hand Saturday. Aaron Rodriguez punted the ball and had a 51-yard average. Our punt team coverage was outstanding. That's started this Jarek Reed, Zach Morris, those guys busting their tail, one protecting it. Obviously against Boise, we didn't protect it well enough, and that was a significant change in the game. So I mean, I think it's one of our stronger suits, the special team aspect of it. But we can't have those, where we're at in our program, early on in the season, you can't have those tiny little mishaps because they dramatically change, like I said, the fragile psyche of your team. We've got a bunch of kids that play really, really hard. They're tough-minded, they're physically tough. You don't see our kids down on the ground when they get hurt, beat up. That's all part of this process. And we're continuing to move forward. Anything else? Awesome. Appreciate you guys. Thank you.